Hey everyone, how have you been? I hope you all had a fantastic week. Actually, 2 weeks because there were some technical issues, so I couldn't do the show last Sunday. And we're still having some hiccups is due to the fault on my part because I'm not very good with technology. But as usual, I have Mark Fleming with me, and I'm going to invite Mark to come and share some knowledge with you today. We're going to decide. We're going to discuss the power to decide. So I'm going to call Mark. Hi, Mark. Good
Hello,
afternoon.
good afternoon.
How are you?
Very good, thank you. Or good evening, rather.
Yeah. Well, it feels like nighttime now. The weather changed so quickly. So, Mark,
Hasn't it?
we're gonna discuss the other spiritual powers we have touched upon and not discussed at length. And I think one of which is the power to decide. It's one of the important spiritual power. So, would you like to share some knowledge around that? How we can take the best decisions in our lives?
Yes, certainly. So it's always lovely to be on this show and share deeper things of the heart and the spirit with everyone. Uh, as anyone following this show will be knowing that we've covered a number of powers, and now we've got to the power to decide, sometimes also called the power to judge, to make judgments.
Hmm.
And I think we need to be aware the importance of our decisions. And uh, I'll come to I think the details of the power to decide as we go on in this conversation. But just to clarify why we need to give so much attention to decisions, in some ways it's obvious because I'm sure everyone listening has made what they would count as really dumb decisions. And I'm sure you've also made some really good ones. Sometimes the very best decisions you made could have been after some of the most dumb decisions you made.
True.
Yes. So, what are decisions but conclusions and taking direction, speaking words, carrying out actions, change of course in life? And so, there's big consequences to decisions. But I'd just like to clarify that I think there are two levels of decisions. One are the big ones, which are related to whether to marry, who to marry, where to live, what job to have, these sorts of decisions, kind of life changing decisions. And of course, within that, there's many, many slightly smaller decisions within each big decision. But there's also a lot of very tiny decisions. And by tiny decisions, I mean the decision to not get up in the morning on time, the decision to to give way to emotions, like speak the thoughts or feelings of anger, to get upset, or to give someone the silence treatment, or lots and lots of little decisions which we make. And
Would you say
so,
these are decisions or these are reactions? Or maybe procrastination?
well, they're all three actually. They are reactions, they're
Mhm.
procrastinations, but they start off as decisions. And so, if initially there's a decision to get angry, there's a decision to lie in bed longer.
Mhm.
But the more we do that, then the less you really feel it's a decision, and the more it's simply a reaction, and the more it becomes subconscious. But even then, if you observe, whenever you get angry, for instance,
Mhm.
there's always that fraction of a moment where you know, I believe, that you can actually change course, that you could suddenly stop your anger. And you must have had the experience sometimes where you suddenly stopped, where you realized perhaps that if you did get angry, then the consequences of that this time would
Mhm.
be far too great to bear. So we do have the power to decide, but mostly we abdicate it. And so these are little decisions, and our little decisions are determining our quality of life, our experience of life, whereas the bigger decisions are really defining our uh, environment of life. Who we're with, what we're doing, where we live, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 kinds of decisions. And I think actually the smaller ones are more important, because you can make the worst situation very good. And you only have to remember those people, say like Nelson Mandela and or Gandhi, who went to prison. Did Gandhi go to prison? I think so. Yes.
Yeah, several times.
Right. So they went to prison, but they made the best of it. And other people who have health, wealth, freedom, and may not make the best of it at all, but actually need rehab.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? The circumstances of life are very different for each, but the little decisions have made the huge difference in the quality of life. So that's why I think it's important to recognize there's these 2 levels. So how to make Shall I carry on?
I think I just wanted to just interject a little bit. When you said smaller decisions are more important, I think the reason why they're so important, because smaller actions go into building our our habits. So our habits develop as a result of taking all these little steps, all these small actions, and then we develop the habit. So if you take right actions over little things, small things, and get in the habit of making the right decisions, then we build a character that is good, that is serving us.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, I think that's very, very wonderfully put, actually, that this creates our habits. Whereas, of course, the bigger decisions are not creating a habit. It's not like a habit to get married. Not unless you're on your 27th partner.
That could happen too.
That could happen, yes. That could happen. That can be a habit, actually, to keep on getting into unhealthy relationships. That's a habit. A decision based on the subconscious, or based on deeper influences. But on the surface, at least, it's they're not habitual decisions. Whereas, as you mentioned, so many of the smaller ones are, because we hardly even notice them. We hardly notice that we're even making a decision, but we are. And so, if you look at your little decisions, then you can see where your life is heading. And so you can backtrack and go back 10 years or 20 years and see the flow of your life. You can see what where you've been, who you've been with on your journey, but more interestingly, what's the quality of your life been, and what kind of little decisions have you made? And so now you've got an idea of how you got to where you are today, and on the basis of that, then you can start understanding where you're going to get to. Because unless we change the quality of decision making, then we're on a trajectory, and it's going to take us according to that. Now, if you're having a wonderful life, everything is good and fantastic, then you're obviously making good decisions to carry on.
Would like to hear from you. If you are having a wonderful life, would like to know the secret to your beautiful life. Give us a call or leave us a message.
Right.
We want to know, Mark. I don't know about your journey, but mine has been like always there's a bulldozer or something. I just wonder how the hell. Sorry, my language. How do I attract? They always seem to find their way somehow and land on my doorstep. Yeah. So you were saying, making big decisions, which are we do make not on daily basis, once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime. I guess, decision to marry also includes decision to divorce. Yeah. Because if somebody's stuck in an unhealthy relationship, what's the point continuously, working on something that is not even workable? So second is a decision to who you hang out with, for example, because somebody said, I attended a training today, and somebody said you are an average of 5 people you hang out with. So if you want to be someone, who's making significant changes to your own life and to the world, you probably want to hang out with people who have already done it, or people who inspire you rather than people who are likely to pull you down. So what's the best time? Now, what influences our decision-making process, Mark?
And there's two main factors that, there's many factors, but two main ones, I think. Well, excuse me. One is how much you're in touch with your own self. That is, how much self-respect you have.
Mm.
I think that's really important. And the second one is your purpose. How clear are you about your journey in life?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to know ultimately where you're going to get to. Ask all of the successful people of
Mm-hmm.
any field of human life, did they know they were going to get to where they have so far got to? And almost all of them will say no. But they knew they had a very clear kind of purpose of direction. And I think an awful lot of people don't have that purpose of direction. So you can't fine tune it if you don't have a purpose of direction. So these two things are very much connected. And purpose you can start working on in I think after you've focused on your self-respect. It means valuing yourself, because if you don't value yourself, no one else is going to value you.
Very true.
They may give you superficial value in order to use you, but they're not going to genuinely value you, because it's only someone who values themselves can automatically gain the value from others, means get respected by others. The only other exception is you might get pity or mercy from someone. Okay, that could be useful if you're really down, but you can't rely on that, and nor should you either. You want to build your own self-respect, because when you have love for the self, not an ego or arrogance, but you have love for yourself based on recognizing your speciality, your beauty, your truth. When you love yourself for that, then because of that value, you think slower. You give importance to your words, and you give importance to your own decisions. Whereas if you don't value yourself, then you automatically feel, well, who am I? I'm a no one. Whatever I do doesn't matter. You won't be thinking like that, but that will be like a background feeling. And so the decisions will be just made haphazardly, as if they...
In order to value yourself or be aware of your own self-respect in relation to the rest of the world, you also need to really know yourself, right? Because if you don't know who you are, if you don't give yourself 5 minutes, perhaps a day or in a week, then you are lost, and you cannot have this. You cannot command respect because you are someone. You have these special characteristics. You cannot command that because you are lost. And a lot of the time, Mark, people, the fastest way to lose yourself is by trying to fit into other people's shapes they create for you. Fit into the square, you don't fit into the circle. And then, there's the external demand from people, especially if you're in an abusive relationship with someone, they would want to control you, they would want to change you. And this is one of the places you mentioned relationship, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is where a lot of people lose themselves and get the hardest beating, that life could bring or throw into their direction.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I can totally see that, resonate with that. With relationships, especially if you are having a hard time and you're getting disrespected, disregarded, or ignored,
Mm.
or even hurt, beaten, even physically, then of course there's none of
Or
those are
emotionally,
or
emotional, the needs,
emotion. Yeah, emotionally, in fact,
emotional, psychological, they could last for a lifetime.
definitely could. Yes. So then that's usually if that's happening, it's because it's gradually built up uh,
Mm.
and just become more and more the way of things. And so the other person or other people could be a number of people that you've got difficulties with, but whoever or however many, then
Mhm.
that those people or that person is now in the habit of seeing you that way and treating you that way, and there's no likelihood they're going to change that
Mm.
behavior so long as you remain generally the same person. In fact, it could probably only get worse because
Yeah,
your self-respect is constantly, going down,
chipping
down, down.
away.
So
Somebody said that it's like similar to, how they make sculpture out of ice or wood. You chip away chunk of it and keep chipping away your self-esteem, your values, and then you are completely lost. Or even if that is not completely diminished, just by trying to fit into somebody else's design,
mm,
you actually lose yourself. If you have lost yourself, then what is there to live for? Nothing.
yeah, well, there's always, of course, there's always something to live for because there's hope
Yeah.
and
If you lost it, and if you kind of give in, this is where a lot of people lose themselves, and it takes a lifetime to find the way out.
yeah, it can
And
do,
some never do.
and some people never do, but it's a wonderful challenge, and I'm saying wonderful challenge because it's austerity, it's challenges, it's difficulties that
Mm.
force you to look deeper inside than you would do if life was just fine and easy and no problem. So the austerity, difficulty, maketh the person, makes the person, but of course it can also break the person. And so hopefully if you're listening to this show, it means you're interested in uh, bringing some change
Making,
to the
yeah,
self, making
making
the
yourself
person.
up.
That's it. And although it's very difficult and it's challenging because when you look inside and you want to bring about real change in your life, then you have to face a few home truths about
True.
yourself, because whatever's happening to me on some level, I'm allowing it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I do appreciate if you're a woman and you're not very physically strong, then it's much easier to be knocked around emotionally and physically. But at the same time, challenging as this may be to hear,
Hmm.
there is some aspect in the self which is allowing that to happen, or you've accepted that this is the way I'm being treated and this is just the way it is. You don't like it, you don't want it, but it's almost like that's been accepted. So to
Hmm.
find real self-respect means to look inside yourself on a deeper level and find that truth, that inner purity, that peace, that love, that value, and keep resonating with that. And so the more you look inside and start to see your goodness and strength and truth, then that will grow from the inside, and automatically you'll feel less and less um, of a tendency to give
Hmm.
in to this bad treatment. And if you look at someone with eyes that are filled with self-respect and regard, that's very
Hmm.
powerful, and that alone can stop wrong
Hmm.
treatment, because an abuser needs a victim.
True. That is so powerful, Mark, what you've said, that you need to face some truth about your own self. The question is not, why is this person doing this to me? It's more like what is in me that is allowing me to stay in this situation. What is preventing me? It could be your own weaknesses, which is fine. We all have weaknesses. So the question is then, what can you do about it? And like you said, be connected with yourself. And in one of the previous episodes, we mentioned, people throwing rubbish in your direction. You just don't take ownership. That's somebody else's rubbish.
That's right. And additionally, we can be attached to a lifestyle that seems to be very much connected with another person or people or life situation.
So we have fear.
We have fear, yeah. So I don't want to leave maybe some comforts or familiarity of the situation.
Status quo.
Sorry?
Status quo, as people say, it's better the devil you know than the
status
devil
quo, yes.
know.
Or I feel, well, this is my culture and this is the way things work in my culture. And so I just have to put up with it because that's just the way things are. So there can be many reasons why someone will just stay put with their current situation. But especially today's world, you do appreciate that the force of culture can be strong, but it's not like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Things are very different.
People have choices nowadays, at least,
Yes.
So when it comes to making decision, one of that is to, understand your own self-worth, value yourself. And you mentioned a couple of other things so that we all can make good decisions.
Yes, I was also mentioning about your purpose and direction in order to make good decisions. But we emphasize the self-respect because first of all, you need to be in touch with yourself to know where you want to go. And until I know myself inside, I haven't got a clue where I really want to go. I've got maybe desires or wishes, but I don't really know. And when I don't have that internal self-respect, then wherever I go, whatever I do, whatever I get, it will never bring the happiness that I'm really seeking. It can't. There's a number of people, so many people have found that out through getting success in life in different forms, only to find out that, I still feel empty. I've got £1 billion. Not personally, I don't have £1 billion, of course, but someone may say I've got £1 billion, and
True.
so
I think there was this actor, wasn't he? He was very successful. Something Robbins. He committed suicide. Hollywood actor.
Oh right, okay. Oh yes, yeah. Robin Williams, is it?
Robin Williams. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So
yeah, he's very successful and made an awful lot of people very funny. But he couldn't. He had a lot of depression, and eventually couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, which is very sad. We are going to go for a short break soon. So you mentioned direction and purpose in life. A lot of people. I thought I had a purpose. I still am looking for it. Still, I hear the calling, from an early childhood, and I'm still looking for it. I was reading the biography of Mahatma Gandhi, and I think he said, "Your purpose will find you." So if you do everyday things to the best of our capacity, we might think our purpose is A, but it could be B or C or D or could be anything. But as long as we do the best we can every single day, like you said, in small actions, then all these little actions are going to take us towards our purpose, which could be something really spectacular, or it could be something, it just means something very special to us. Or it could be anything.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we're going for a short break. We're going to come back very soon. Stay with us. Welcome back, Mark. So, guys, if you're watching us, let us know what kind of decision you'd like to make. Is there any information you want from Mark, from myself? Is there any way we could help you to make better decisions so that you may have a happier life? And if you're already happy, if you're on top of the world, please do share your experiences with us. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you. Yes. So you mentioned like Gandhi said that your purpose will find you, and with purpose, I of course you can think of purpose in the sense of what you're going to do with your life, but in the deeper level, I think it's more about what you're going to be, because when you find what you're going to be, then what you're going to do will be very much more natural to discover. So in that way, it would find you. But if you don't know what you're going to be, in other words, who you really are, then you're going to struggle to find the purpose. Now, some people just know that they've got a speciality, they've got qualities, and they know clearly. You know, someone can sing, and what do they want to do with their singing? They want to bring happiness to others, or they want to take others into an experience with their singing. So, yes, that singing is the vehicle through which they can express their joy, their happiness, and their skill. And now a lot of us can't sing. I'm one of them.
You can try.
I don't want to make everyone leave at this point. So I won't try right now. But so we've all got different abilities, and of course you can learn abilities. You may have a skill which is yet to come into existence or into your awareness. There's so many things you might be able to do, but the first thing is, I think, to find your speciality. And your speciality is your unique blend of qualities and strengths. And so if you look at your life and you can just ask, well, what are the things that you find generally easier to do? What the qualities you find more natural to you? Like some people are very naturally friendly. For other people, they can they're very happy working out mathematical problems, but being friendly is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So find your speciality, because your speciality is really what you can is your first purpose, and then the vehicle for that purpose will come into view.
So be true to yourself, right?
Be true to yourself, yes,
and bring out the best of yourself in your interactions, in your performance, in whatever you do, in your small actions.
That's right. Yes, because every action counts. It's very easy to forget that, but every single action counts, every word counts. And of course, I don't want anyone to get worried and kind of on edge. Whoa, everything counts. Be careful of me thinking wrong, speaking wrong. But it's something to bear in mind that it's that we're living in a world of cause and effect, action and reaction. And so everything does count. Whatever I say is an energy going out. It's an ideas I'm sharing. Every time I speak, it's not just what I speak, but it's the way I speak. In fact, many ways it's more the way I speak than what.
True.
And so I'm sending out that wave, which will come back. And also, whatever I'm thinking and feeling is building up a kind of vibration inside my own self, which is continually pointing me or nudging me in a direction in life. So if
what you said about like everything counts. I want to scare people a little bit. I don't know why. I've forgotten his name, which is a crime. One of the speakers, he came on one of the Tony Robbins trainings, and he said, practice doesn't make perfect. It only makes things more permanent. So if you're doing wrong action, if you're lying down in bed and not getting up when you're supposed to, and we are practicing it for a while, it only makes it more permanent.
Yeah, well, you become perfect at laying in bed. So you could claim that as your speciality, but not a very good one, really.
Yeah, most of us. Well, I used to, like you said, every little thing counts. So I used to have a morning ritual. About a year ago, I gave up, and the results haven't been, well, they're not taking me to where I want to be because I have given up on all these good habits. First thing in the morning, I used to follow my morning ritual, get ready, prepare myself for the day, and I used to start the day on a very good note with
Mm.
purpose, with direction. I don't know what happened. I need to check with myself what happened, what went wrong. So I stopped doing those things, and then I am not doing as I should, as well as I should. And I think that goes for most people. We start on something and we practice it for a while, and then something happens, maybe some mishap, some circumstances, that pulls us away from it, and then we eventually give up.
Yeah, that's such a common thing, which I can relate with myself as well. These rituals. So that's actually something that Tony Robbins also talks about. What are your rituals? Because if you look at your rituals, then you're
Mhm,
going to know where you're going. And I just remember actually reading it quite recently that if you want to achieve something in your life of a particular thing,
mhm.
or get somewhere in your life in a particular way, then you have to ask yourself, well, what kind of rituals would a person who is successful in the direction I want to be successful have? What rituals do I need to get myself there? And are my current rituals enough? And the answer is probably going to be no, they're not enough. Otherwise, I'd be on my way. And so,
Exactly.
therefore, I need to clarify the rituals I need and really ask an honest question. Am I up for it? Am I really going to do it? And something I found in myself that when you're going to change course in life, for
Mhm.
whatever reason, whatever direction, then we have to be really honest with the self that any change of direction means that I need a new set of rituals, I need a new quality of thinking, and also my previous habits are not going to go just like that. So supposing I've been a slovenly, lazy bones, careless, slack, meandering, tea and biscuits all the time, YouTubes and whatnot, untidy, chaotic, messy. And I suddenly have this thought that, oh, yeah, I want to be a bit like James Bond. Yeah, I want to, I want to be sharp. I want to be effective, methodical, clear thinking, go-getter. In other words, everything
You
the
can be
opposite.
that.
Sorry.
You can be, as long as you follow the rituals.
Oh, you can be. Yes, that's exactly that. You can be.
You have to have intention, which you mentioned earlier. Your intentions. You have to have clear intention.
Clear intention,
Set
and you have to be
goals.
honest as well. Am I
Yeah.
really willing to do what's necessary?
Am I willing to do it?
Yes.
Or maybe a better question, what is going to pull me towards my goals so that I will do all these extra steps that I need to take.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly make the why big enough. The what
Yeah.
you feel you're going to attain from it. That's a very powerful way, definitely. But whichever way we do it, I think we do need to get to that point where I can look myself in the eye and say, yes, I'm willing to do this. Because
That's
of if I start something with a kind of a little doubt inside, then that will grow big, and then I will stop, and then that will add to my feeling of starting and then stopping. I'll just that inner doubt in myself will grow, and so the more
Mhm.
times I start something and give up, that creates a habit in itself of starting and giving up.
That is so true.
So that's why it's good to have clarity and be really honest to begin with. Am I really going to put in the work for this? Because when I'm sitting in the chair and getting inspired by a YouTube or something, I can think big things. But when I
When I'm
work out,
alone,
when
yeah.
I'm alone, when I'm
And when I have
sitting,
10 new challenges,
mm,
then am I going to come back to it? Okay, occasionally maybe I can pull out, but then am I going to go back to it? I think this is where I felt I want to take a decision today, Mark. From
right,
tomorrow, I'm going to follow my rituals. I've got to go somewhere,
right,
and I need to find my why again and add more things to it so that I feel more motivated and I feel pulled towards my goals rather
mm,
than giving just taking things as they come along and then feel really disappointed with everything. One of the things I heard is that for poor decisions making, fear is one of the lousy mind is responsible for 90% of the bad decisions that we make.
mm,
So in order to make good decisions, um, what kind of mindset do we need to be? You mentioned already. One is get connected to yourself, understand your values, understand your self-worth. What are the other things? And your why. You mentioned your directions and purpose in life. So what are the things? We may not know. We may not. A lot of people probably don't even ask themselves, what is my purpose in life?
mm. Yeah, it's probably well, yeah, probably a lot of people don't ask, or if they do, just very fleetingly.
Mm,
So I think it's really good to start by clarifying your purpose, and you don't, even if you can't think of the purpose in the context of doing, but the purpose in the context of, how do I want to live my life? From what space in myself? What qualities do I
mhm,
want to be and share with others? Do you value friendship, for example? So you can just start by, well, I'm going to be friendly with others, or am I going to be forgiving? Of course, they go together. So
mhm.
identify a few qualities that you hold dear to yourself, and that's a fantastic purpose to have in life. And the more physical, external purpose, like you said, like Gandhi said, that will come into view if it's
Mhm.
not already in view. But that's the real purpose. And I think that's really important to recognize. The real purpose is the sharing of your being, your speciality, and the vehicle for it that will materialize in the course of time.
That is so beautiful, Mark. So you actually solved the problem. People who don't know what never ask themselves what is the purpose of my life. They can ask what kind of life I want to live. Do I want
Yes.
to live in peace, happiness? I want to feel valued, loved, respected, and I want to give others respect. What kind of friends I want in my life? What kind of when I do a job, how well I want to do that. You know,
Mm.
even if I'm cooking, how do I want to prepare food? Given that it is something that I'm going to consume, my family is going to consume. What am I feeding them? So
Yeah.
these little
Well, it's so important because when you start asking these questions, and especially related to solely yourself, where you're not relying on any evidence outside of yourself, you're not relying on how other people treat you, then
Mhm.
what happens is you start really discovering yourself, you're aligning with your truth, and you become very, very powerful. I mean, very often it's like organizations or governments and whatnot like to make you dependent on them because then you're weaker and easily controlled.
True.
But the most powerful people are the ones who know themselves and are operating from the inside out. They're not worried about getting, uh, what do you call it? stamp of approval.
Yeah, very much so. And it's important, like you said, when you don't have, when you have the freedom, because freedom is very important. If you're in a negative environment where you don't even have the freedom to attend, for example, like any classes, any meditation, don't have the freedom to even go out, don't
Mm,
have access to internet, then you are kind of isolated. So you don't have these facilities, but you need the freedom. Like, people say an oak turns into an oak tree. An oak only has a potential to become an oak tree. If you don't give it the chance, then it's not going to turn into an oak tree. It's going to
mm,
die. And this is how with human beings as well. We need the freedom. Once you have that freedom, then you take decisions, how you want to live your life. And like you said, you become very powerful. So our environment plays a huge role in our wellness, in how we feel.
definitely, yes. And this the whole theme of this of this show is
Mhm.
really about working from the inside out, empowering the mind,
Mhm.
uh, because as you are the one living your life,
Mhm.
it's your consciousness, yourself is the seed of your life, and your life is like the tree. So you have to keep that seed powerful, with filled with good thoughts and positive feelings. Water it every day by your rituals,
Mhm.
especially feeding some valuable information inside, and then great changes can happen. And so in that, you can benefit a lot from what other people have said and done, but
Mhm.
you can't rely on anything externally. As soon as you do, then you become vulnerable. And I don't mean just be a loner. I mean, because you have to cooperate. But as soon as you want to do something physically, you're going to have to rely on others. But I mean, on a deeper level, emotionally, to try and, as much as possible, find that
Mhm.
love, that peace, that power inside. But then there's one other thing you can do, and that's connect to God, because that connection is one which gives you a lot of power, a lot of peace, and of course that
Powerhouse.
connection, powerhouse, yes. And so you can rely on him as much as you can, because that's one relationship where you're not going to get influenced. You're going to just simply become more powerful within yourself. And this is the time. Is just like there's a season for planting and a season
Mhm.
for reaping. So in the same way, spiritually, there are seasons, and this particular time we are passing through is a season for planting the seeds of a very powerful awareness and connecting with the Supreme, with God, and learning to both love Him and receive from Him. And I, it sounds like I'm going off target, but actually, I think it's key to this whole subject.
I think it's very relevant, Mark. We're not going off target because we can we can ask God to help us with making decisions. He can give us clarity. We can seek clarity from Him.
Definitely, yes. And what I found from my experience is that when I connect my mind to Him and remember with love, and I think
Mm-hmm.
this is a very important ingredient to, we can remember God and pray to God, but I need to love God,
Mm.
because when I have love for God, then I get the return of that in the form of a current of subtle power. And that subtle power is sometimes being called yoga power, meaning that it's a subtle energy, spiritual energy you get as a fruit from your connection with the Supreme, with Allah, with God,
Mm-hmm.
whichever word works for you. And so when you have love for God, you're basically saying to yourself that your love is worthy of God's, worthy of God. So
And it
when
makes
you,
it so much easier to connect because um, my experience as a child when I used to go to the mosque and I was learning the Quran and about God. All I had, He's going to punish, etc., which is not true because once I came to Brahma Kumaris and I connected with God through love. Then, for the first time in my life, I felt so much love. I actually cried.
Hmm.
And then I went to do research. I used to research the Quran. God mentioned love so many times, and He said, His love for us is so much more, 90, I think it's 99 times more powerful than the love um, we have as parents for our children.
Yes. I mean,
So we are misled. We are being taught wrong things.
yes. Well, I think we have in a way. Also, things just get handed down, or something was said or written at a time when they meant one thing, and a few hundred years or 1,000 years later, they're going to mean something different. Of course, different context.
No, it's in the same book that was written many years later. I think what it is, if you his we are going up a bit off track. Historically, even if you read about the Bible, it
Hmm.
was being used to control people.
Mm.
And there was a time when only the clergies who spoke the language Latin was the language of Bible. And on purpose, it was kept away from ordinary people because Bible was then being used to control, to manipulate. And same goes for every single religion. That's my belief. That
Hmm.
and I don't think I'm as human. I want to accept that I could be wrong, but I think on this I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, religion has had definitely its downside. It's had its great upside as well. It's given a lot of people the opportunity to have a lot of faith.
Mm,
Obviously, there's certain aspects that have been misused. In my early part of life, I didn't have any belief in God or religion, so I had no interest in that. And only later on, when I looked into spirituality, which for me, spirituality is like the essence of religion, but without any particular one of them.
mhm,
And it's then that I started to appreciate religion or the goodness of within religion. Obviously, there's
mm,
lots of dodgy things going on as well.
true.
But at the core, it's about reconnecting with the Supreme, with God. It's only if human beings get in between, then of course things can go off course.
The reason why I like spirituality, I want to share something, Mark. So there was one point in my life. I was confused about something, about some people, and whether they were a good force for myself or something bad. I wasn't sure. I was confused. So I remember I was meditating and I did a kind of prayer as well. And I said, please show me the way. Show me what this for what it is, because I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? Can you not believe he unfolded the drama in such a way that I couldn't have anticipated? And I was like, wow. But for that, Mark, it needs a lot of the time I'm not in that zone because I have so much noise in my head. But for that kind of help also to understand that it is being offered, and for you to actually observe and appreciate it, you need a quiet mind and a lot of patience, I think.
Well, yes, you do definitely, and that's why you start. You just make a start. You make a start to meditate. You make a start to have good thoughts about yourself. You make a start by reading one affirmation for yourself a day, which you can then add more to. You make a start to just connect a little bit to God, however you perceive that being to be, but just make a start. And so when you make a start, you've already shifted the energy in your favor.
Mm,
And, and then as you keep on going, then the energy shifts more and more in your favor. And I love this thing from it's the law of attraction principle that here you are, and there's the universe. And although it can seem like life has been out to get you, but it hasn't. It's giving you the it's like a reflection. Or actually, there's someone said it yesterday, that if you're looking in the mirror frowning
Mm.
or getting angry in the mirror, and the person in that mirror is getting angry or frowning back at you, then are you going to try and change the mirror? So that's like life. So,
That is so true.
but the mirror, of course, when you're looking in the mirror, is very obvious. But when you're seeing life,
Mm.
it's quite a step to realize that this whole world is actually like a big mirror. And I
That is,
don't mean to think that, does that mean I'm responsible or to blame for everything that happens? No, it's not like that. But it's the way I take it. And the things I go through, they're situations, but whether I take them as learning or whether I take them as punishment,
mm.
that's my attitude. And so much is down to us. And it's coming full circle in a way to realize that we are so powerful when we're when we are in our peace, in our presence, and when we connect to God. Then there's so much strength there.
That is, yeah. I was listening to somebody's story, and she said basically, she said, we expect life to be without any hitch, without any trouble. But she said she accepted that there will be a lot of troubles along the way, and she said whatever you are facing now is preparing you for something later.
Mm.
She said life is a journey, it's an endless learning opportunities that is going to continuously give you, which is kind of scary because um,
Actually, I think that's a wonderful thing you said there. It really is fantastic because within that it shows that as soon as I accept that principle of life, which I mean, anyone can look at their life and realize that's the truth. There's always a series of problems and obstacles coming. So what's in your hand? How to respond? And so one aspect of spirituality is to build up your capability to respond. And response can sometimes mean just being quiet, being silent.
mhm.
But so it's really like living consciously. And the more conscious I am, then the clearer my decisions will be.
Yeah, very much so. That's the thing I just wanted to briefly mention, that our decision how we want to live our life um, also include like our decision to how you conclude the chapters of life where we felt hurt, betrayed, because if we don't close those chapters, then we carry this with us, and it doesn't affect other people who might have caused you the harm, but it only affects us in the
Mm.
present. And she said the story goes like this: her father was being murdered by this man, and American justice system, they have this system where the members of the victim's family can actually question the perpetrator, the accused, or somebody who's been convicted. So this person was convicted, and he kind of admitted as well killing her dad. Her mom asked him, "Why did you kill my husband? I just want to know." They addressed him by his name, which is a very good thing to do. A lot of the time, people just like, "You are a monster. Why did you do that?" So, and he replied, he said, "For no reason," which is, I thought, was really unforgiving. You kill someone and there's no reason for it. Why are you saying, So this person, she went to him when her turn came, and she said, "Just tell me one thing, and that is, have you forgiven yourself for what you have done?" And then she said he was so confused, and for the first time he just he was lost. He didn't know what to say, and then he
Mhm.
became tearful, and he started to cry. And then she said, "Can I give you a hug?" to the person who killed her dad. And then he said, "Please," and she gave him a hug. And afterwards, somebody said, I think it was one of the guards or somebody that said, "You freed a prisoner today." And she said, "No, I freed two people, and one was me, one was myself."
Mm. Fantastic. What wisdom.
It is. It takes so much, though, Mark. Imagine, forgiving someone who just killed your father for no reason. And she said she had to do it because she had to free herself. She wanted to move on to life. And if she didn't forgive him, she would have been the prisoner with this guy, along with him.
Yes. In that very moment, she stepped up and faced her emotions, faced the tendency to accuse and
Yeah,
anger and
yeah.
hatred. So she faced herself, and that stood out because it's so rare to see, so incredible strength, and just why everyone will be praising her
Mm,
because she just suddenly in one action, a decision. She made one decision
one decision.
which took her consciousness much higher, which made her revealed as someone of a person of incredible high standing, great character. On anyone who, because I did hear that story, but I didn't hear all the details. So thank you for that. But now renowned all around the world and people in
She is,
awe.
yeah,
So
she is.
one decision has had such an impact on her life, and obviously it's freed her.
She did say, she said, "I looked at this man and I didn't think of him um, as the culprit who murdered my dad. I looked at him as a human being, just like anybody else."
Mm,
And that is why she was able to ask him those questions, and she was able to actually free herself from this pain.
right.
Yeah. So it has been such a wonderful session. And last time when we were on the show, I mentioned I left a quiz, and that was why people are so, somebody who's saying sorry, 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 please, please, please. I think this is what you added quite nicely. And thank you, thank you, thank you for no reason. What emotion is working behind their actions? And you might be surprised to know, those who are watching, you guys didn't answer, so I feel I have to answer. It's anger. These people have a lot of anger in them that hasn't been dealt with, and is showing up in this behavior, which I was surprised to learn that, that kind of behavior is actually masking anger.
Mm, yeah, especially towards the self and of course others.
Others. Yeah.
That's interesting.
There is also something when you procrastinate, it is also masking something. And it should be interesting to know if anybody can say what it is. So that's the
Yeah,
quiz for next week.
wonderful. So that's our question: is why are you procrastinating? What's it
Yeah.
masking? Good question.
What is it masking? Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for staying with. Well, your normal time is 9 o'clock, but we're just over quarter past nine. And
Yeah.
is there anything else you'd like to add, and which you've clarified so beautifully?
I think I do appreciate that some of the things that we discuss can sometimes seem just too difficult, not realistic for where you're at this moment. So just take whatever idea that you feel you can work with at this time, because you just do one thing or change one thought, and that alone is steering you in a different direction. So you don't have to do everything, In fact, you certainly don't need to do everything, but just take one thing and apply that.
So at least take one thing and apply it rather than not take anything at all.
Yes.
Because if you are where you are and you don't take any different action, you'll be where you are in 10 years' time.
That is the way it goes.
All right. Thank you so much once again, and look forward to seeing you. And I hope people are watching us. Look forward to hearing from people who are watching us next week. At the same
Wonderful.
time.
See you next week. Thank you.
Stay well, stay happy, and goodbye for now. Thank you, Mark, once again. Bye.
Bye.